David Nofaluma's off to Melbourne for the rest of the year, Gus.
Yeah.
Breaking news. So Melbourne have been trying to find a bit of depth in the outside backs. We know they've been struggling in a lot of different areas, but that's one where they're struggling for depth. So David Nofaluma's been running around for Western Suburbs in the New South Wales Cup. He's going to head down to Melbourne.
Yep.
Good move.
Well, it's
good for Melbourne. Good player. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't see why he's
let me just decipher something here, because in my job with the Bulldogs, we were also approached for one of our players, and their approaches were very respectful, and when they got their answer, they were very respectful. I got no problem with them asking the question. You just don't know. But I've always been a supporter of the loan system, and we've seen the loan system come into effect during the COVID last year when they were in camps and we didn't have reserve grade players to play. Bulldogs, we got 2 Raiders players in one day. It wasn't the players, it was. There are other teams like the Warriors that needed loan players, and everyone's needed a couple of loan players here and there. And I've always been a great believer of the loan system. There are plenty of times over the years in my roles where I've had a young player in reserve grade who's not going to get any better playing reserve grade, who needs to be playing NRL to improve and get experience, but there is no way to select him. I mean, if you're a young fullback at the Roosters at the moment, there's no way for you to play first grade, all right? Because even if Tedesco gets hurt, they'll play Joey Manu there, or they'll play Suwali there, who are all playing first grade at the moment. So if you're going to be a young fullback at the Roosters system, your pathway is blocked. But if we need you to develop as a player, why can't the Roosters send him to another club and say, if you've got a position for him to play first grade, we'll loan him to you. You can go and play first grade if they need a player. I think where it gets dangerous is because we've moved this timeline back to the 1st of August and it's so close to the finals, I don't think it's right for the game that we get a situation where come, the latter part of July, the top 4 teams start feeding on the bottom 4 teams saying, well, your season's over, wins don't matter to you. Can we have, your best player?
Yeah.
That's not what the loan system is meant to do. No. I suppose anything is negotiable. If in our case, it would have saved us money under the salary cap to let Josh Addo-Carter go to Melbourne, and that's salary cap space that we could use elsewhere. But I weighed it up against the value of Josh Addo-Carter to the team, the message that I'm sending to the team by letting him go, what I'm saying to our fans who have sat through years of running last in the competition, can't win a game. Now they've got a bloke scoring tries for them. Kids have gone out and bought his jersey and they come to the game with their flag and their Josh Addo-Carter jersey. What am I saying to them if I just let him trot off and play for Melbourne for the back end of the year because they're in the finals and we're not? I think that's I think if you're looking for a loan player, we'll loan you this fella. I'm not going to loan you James Tedesco. I'll loan you, John Smith. He's a good player. He can handle it. He's ready for first grade. It's not about going and buying the players that will suit your side so you can win games and be more competitive.
It's got to be mutually beneficial.
Well, the mutual beneficial start is some saving on the salary cap that you might get if you need salary cap space or what have you.
And experience.
Yeah, but I also think it's detrimental to be saying your season's over and your wins don't matter. They do matter. Every game matters. You want your team trying right till the last breath. Your fans are going to come along and cheer for them. They've paid membership for every game. They want to come along. They want to watch the TV and cheer for their team. What am I saying to my team if I let our marquee player go to play with a top 4 side because they're in contention for the finals? Right? Now, if they rang up and wanted a winger, I've got some young wingers there that would love a game in first grade. I'm happy to send those down there and they'd be happy to go. To get 6 weeks in the Melbourne system and be coached by Craig Bellamy and not be playing in park football somewhere in front of 30 people, go down there. But that's something that the other sides would have to accept. But I think it's a bad precedent, at that stage of the year for the top 4 teams to have that mentality that we can just now go and take good players out of the bottom 4 teams because their season is over. So our season is not over.
Of course it's not. Ask the Tigers on the weekend whether a win matters or not. But if a top team wants to borrow or loan a say Addo-Carter, for instance, would they then would his salary then go under their cap for that period?
Yeah.
So they've got to have the space to be able to accommodate.
So I'll tell you exactly. With Josh Addo-Carter, it saved us a significant amount of money on the salary cap if he was to go away. But the way it had to be done was we would have to terminate his contract now. He would sign a new contract with the Melbourne Storm until October 31, and then we'd sign a new contract with Josh Addo-Carter from November 1 to re-register him back in the club. So to me, I would have thought that's a salary cap. That's a salary cap ploy. If it was actually instigated by us, if we went to the Melbourne Storm saying, "Hey, can you take John Smith for 6 weeks? It's going to save us 100,000 under the cap, and I can spend that on someone else." That's a salary cap ploy. I doubt that the salary cap auditor would even look at that. I don't know why the salary cap auditor would even approve this. I can understand a player shortage, right? But it's a fine line, and it all comes around transfer windows and signing of players a year early and all these types of things where we've got no control over the movement of players throughout the NRL. We've got no control over the negotiating processes. We've got no control over the player managers. So they keep coming up and altering the timeline to suit the game. And I understand this timeline's one because of the COVID situation. And we had our players in isolation. We couldn't bring lower grade players in to train with them. Lower grade players weren't playing football. Right, so a player who would normally be in your reserve grade side or under 20 side has not played for a couple of years because we had no competitions. He's had 12 weeks out. Suddenly you want to bring him into a semi-final and play against the Melbourne Storm or Panthers. That's totally unfair. But if I can go and get a lone player from another club who's at least been training and playing, then that made sense. And we accommodated that because of COVID. Right, the loan system had not really been used before because of COVID. The other loan system was Harry Grant. They sent him to the West Tigers for a year. Why? To play first grade. He wasn't going to get any better playing Queensland Cup or Park football. They sent him to the West Tigers for a year and brought him back, and now he's their mainstay hooker. His development was accelerated because he had a year with the West Tigers in first grade. I'm all for that. All for that. My main reason for saying, politely just saying no to the Melbourne Storm was I can't do it because I don't know what message that says to our players and our fans and our sponsors and the people we expect to come to the game to support us for the rest of the year. We're just starting to score a few tries. The club's been through a terrible period. We've been running last for 3 years. Now we're starting, at least the fans can come to the game and wave their flags, win, lose or draw. They're scoring a few tries and playing a bit better. So why would I interfere with that? And Josh Addo-Carr has been such a marquee signing for the club. He's so popular with the fans and the kids, and I can't tell you. Next time you go to a Bulldogs game, sit down and watch the number of kids walking through the gates and they've got his number on their back.
I agree. Look, I think everyone can understand the Addo-Carr thing. I think Nofaluma is a great example of he's been, for whatever reason, not playing first grade.
Yep.
So he's probably a great example of someone
at the Tigers,
a lone player.
At the Tigers, they don't need him at the moment. You can have him.
Yeah.
It was just. I think the Warriors got approached for Reece Walsh. Some other clubs got approached, but they're all pretty good players. They got approached for. They were sort of picking who they could get, rather than ringing up and saying, "If you've got a front rower there, you can spare. If you've got a winger there, you can spare." Yes, I've got Matt Thompson. No, he can't play. I don't want Matt Thompson.
No, can't play.
No,
lost a bit of speed.
Yeah. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I look, it's within the rules. Melbourne are entitled to do whatever they like, and it shows the winning attitude of the club. They're not dying down. We're all saying that they probably can't compete for a premiership this year. They're saying, well, we will. We'll go out and make the side as strong as we can. They've had some injury issues and all of that. I've got nothing against them asking the question. I've just got a little bit of a question over the process of, at this time of year, are we going to see more of this top four sides trying to fill that? I mean, Penrith last year grabbed Tavita Pangai Jr. He got sacked from the Broncos, was a different story. But I thought he won them a semi-final last year. If he didn't they might have had trouble with the Melbourne Storm. He actually went out there and belted the Melbourne Storm on his own there in the first part of the game.
Well, maybe next year that deadline might go back again if COVID's off the board.
Well, you're getting into a whole different story, mate, about signing windows and registration of players. And
we've dealt with some heavy stuff today, Gus.
And that's still never been fixed.
Let's not worry about that. Okay.
I don't think this podcast should go to air. I think I'm in trouble all over.